The Confederacy was right. Hold on, let me explain. On February 8, 1861, 6 of the 7 seceded Southern states banded together to form the Confederate States of America. 2 months later, after the firing on Fort Sumter, this would spark the American Civil War, in which, unfortunately, the Confederate States of America would surrender in 1865 after the war had raged for 4 years. The after effects of this war are still being felt throughout America today, but something that's always baffled me as an educated person in politics, geopolitics, and history is the demonization of the Confederacy. A common argument Unionists or people who don't know much is that the Confederacy seceded for slavery and fought for slavery. This is simply not true, and while it is in the Confederate Constitution, and I will not deny the horrors of slavery nor it will being president, I want to express the points of the Confederacy that have been shut down with the turn of the century in 2000. Number 1. The Confederacy was aiming to achieve its independence from what they viewed as an oppressive force by 1860. The northern states had outweighed the southern states quite a bit, and as a result, this sparked major tension between the northern and southern states, a problem that had been growing since America's foundation in 1776. Number 2. Slavery is often just seen as a way for racist folk to get a kick out of owning blacks, and while sometimes this was the case, the majority of times it wasn't. Slavery was the economical backbone to the Southern economy, and without it, the Southern states would collapse. They wouldn't be able to feed themselves or their family, and as a result, needed slavery to live. And when they saw Abraham Lincoln as a threat to their lives and economic, they felt threatened enough to secede from the Union. 3. Secession is actually in the U.S. Constitution, although quite subtle and many people gloss over it. In the U.S. Constitution, it states that if the people view a government as illegitimate, they have the right to secede and form their own. As a matter of fact, isn't that what we did to the British in 1776? It is. And the Southern states enacted as what they felt like Lincoln's presidency was illegitimate. 4. Most of the demonization of the Confederacy comes from non-associated, pathetic, no-good racist groups or outsiders who know nothing. The common thing that I see is Europeans and others that aren't Americans just tend to go with what the Confederates are evil because that's what the Americans and media have taught. And racist groups, of which I will not say the name as they do not deserve to be named, have used our battle flag and our name for their own agenda. We do not associate with these sickening people at all, and they are to be denounced. 5. People often talk about the horrors of slavery as justification to hate it, but no one talks about the war crimes of the Union. In fact, some even praise it. In November of 1864, Union General William Sherman led a march to the sea from Atlanta, Georgia to Savannah, Georgia. In this march, they committed unspeakable acts to Confederate citizens, specifically the women and children, and burned down every city and town in their path, as well as nature, such as Atlanta, Macon, Griffin, Knoxville, Mildredville, and Savannah, only to name a few. These acts are horrible and cannot be justified or denied. Before you say that I'm a Southern fanboy or anything of the sort, I was born in the North, specifically Indiana, and I lived a good chunk of my life there. I've been taught the northern side, and after I moved to Texas, I've been taught the southern side. I've determined that, in fact, the Confederacy was right.